Welcome to Lenses and Lyrics, where music and photography collide. This podcast dives into the crossover world of photographers who are or were musicians, those whose passion for sound influenced the way they see through the lens. Connect with all things Lenses and Lyrics at lenseslyrics.com. Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Lenses and Lyrics. Today is a different type of episode because I recorded an episode of a different podcast that I host called the Workflows Photography Podcast. And my guest, Zach Wolf, got his start photographing bands in the Boston hardcore music scene. And during the conversation about his photography workflows, the topic of music and band photography came up. So I thought I would take a short clip from that episode and share it with you here on Lenses and Lyrics. Now, you're going to hear this before Zach's episode of Workflows actually goes live. So, in the meantime, in the show notes for this episode, which you can get at lenseslyrics.com, I am going to share the link to the other podcast that I host called the Workflows Photography Podcast, where you can eventually listen to the full episode, and you can sign up to get notified when new episodes air. So for now, enjoy this brief conversation with Zach Wolf as a sort of teaser for his full episode at the Workflows Photography Podcast.
Did you have a bar mitzvah?
I did have a bar mitzvah, yeah.
What was your theme?
It was, so I was, as we were discussing before we recorded, I was a musician before I switched to photography. So it was a music themed, but not a cool kid music themed. It was like my tables, you know, you give nicknames to all the tables. Mm-hmm. My table was the Piano Man. So it was literally like Billy Joel and Elton John, and my parents picked the music.
That's a good one.
I mean, it was fun. My cake literally had a clarinet on it. So because I played clarinet in high school.
The coolest of instruments.
The coolest of instruments.
You never got to bust out your clarinet in a pop punk band?
No, but I actually got into Berklee College of Music playing it, so I was good.
There you go. You could be the king of clarinet. Who knows?
I could be. I haven't picked it up in years. Anyway, so let's actually shift into music for a second, since we're here, right?
Yeah.
You were telling me before we hit record that you started by photographing bands, as did I. Mm-hmm. Can you share that story of who you were photographing, what you were photographing, how you were doing it, and how that shifted into weddings?
Yeah, so going back to like 2005, I was a part of like the punk hardcore scene in South Florida. Like I grew up in Boca Raton. Most of the shows I went to were in Miami and West Palm, because those are like the major cities. So I wanted to like contribute. I wanted to be in a band. I wanted to do all that stuff. Turns out I have no musical talent. I was not a clarinet whiz. I was not a guitar player. I was nothing. So
that wouldn't have got you very far in the punk hardcore scene anyway.
Listen, there's flute on a hardcore record from last year, so you're missing out. But yeah, so like I was like, okay, like what can I do? And no one was really shooting shows at that point, at least in South Florida. Like, so I started bringing my dad's like Canon PowerShot to shows. And leaving it, you know, I think it only had automatic. Like I don't know what else it had. And then I remembered, you know, I'd post them on like our message boards. And then I started a Flickr. And that was like my big, like, this is the source of all my photos. And then I figured out how to do shutter drag on the PowerShot. And that was like, what is he doing? This is so cool. Like people loved him. And then
very, very, very common punk band style photos.
Yes, and then my 18th birthday, I was given a Canon Rebel, and that's the reason when people ask me why I shoot Canon, I said, because I started with Canon and I'm too lazy to change. Yep. And I started shooting more shows, and like, you know, shirts would have my photos on them, records and stuff. And then in 2007, I moved up to Boston, where the hardcore scene there was like kind of at an all-time high. Bands like Have Heart and Verse and The Carrier and all that stuff were kind of blowing up from that area. And there was a national message board that everyone would kind of check in on what Boston shows were doing. And I kind of grew a name from that, which was really cool. You know, I'm very fortunate that my real name is Zach Wolf. So it's very easy to remember. It's very easy to spell. So people, and like back in that day, we would watermark all the photos. So everyone knew my name because it was on there. And you should see my first watermark because it is incredibly cringy.
Weren't they all?
Yes. It was like a big X with just a photo of a Canon Rebel over it.
Oh, nice.
Very
Nice.
cool. And then from that, it was just like, I was trying to mix it up and try to shoot bands different ways and figuring out like, okay, like I'm in this shitty basement. How can I make it look interesting? Or,
Right.
Started doing off-camera flash at shows, which is now pretty common. But at the time, like there weren't many of us doing that. Yeah. And then through that, someone was just like, hey, can you shoot a wedding? I was like, yeah, I've never been to one, but I could figure it out. And like, I just saw so much creative potential in weddings, and I've always been like a big extrovert my whole life. So it was more of a chance to like get to be with people. You know what I mean? Like people make a living shooting still life and shooting products. I would rip my hair out. Like the joy I get from this business is people. And that's part of why I automate the stuff that doesn't need me, is because that's not the stuff I love. And I can spend more time doing the part I love because of that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got my start. I still have it back there. It's over there. An Olympus point and shoot that actually had some manual control and a PC port for flash. So I could actually like have a off-camera flash wired. So I would hold
the old wire around your neck. And
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was also doing shutter drag. So it's very similar. To differentiate my photos from others in the New Jersey punk scene, I would actually incorporate every band I was photographing. I would have photos of their feet, because guitar pedals, bass pedals, tuners, whether it's Converse All Stars or Vans or whatever, the band Penfold, they would actually wear like black shoes, like dress shoes, or like Doc Martens, So everybody had their own style, and it was like a cool way to remember that band by their shoes. It was just a fun thing. So
you got to do something weird. If you're, everyone's shooting the exact same thing, how are you going to stand out? Like I remember the year that I went in 2008, I went to Sound and Fury, which is a big fest in California. And that was the year they were like, hey guys, you have to get approval to shoot this show because there's too many photographers now. And it was like the first year they had like a media pass for a hardcore show. And it was just like, and now it's like standard, like even local shows, you like need to, the rule used to be like, if I don't know where to find your photos, you don't get to take photos. Cause people would show up, take photos, then you just never see them again. And I mean, now luckily with Instagram and stuff, like it's been amazing. It's so great that like, I like as a fan of band photography, it's been fun to just like follow bands and then they'll collab with photographers, so you see it in their feed, and it's like the quality of band photography out there now is so high. Like the bar is so much higher than it was back in our day. Like you could get away with next to nothing. And now it's just like you have to be doing something cool and you have to have your take on it.
I'm at the point now where, like, for example, Matt Pryor from the Get Up Kids is coming back to New Jersey very soon to do it's a solo tour that he's doing. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go, but do I want to go with my camera? It's literally at a brewery, small one. So I'm like going to be like right up close. There's no stage. Do I want to bring a camera and photograph or video, or do I want to just go and enjoy it? Right? I know that I won't need a media pass because there is no stage to worry about. It's like a open mic night almost, except it's scheduled. So I'm just going to enjoy. But if he said, hey, come to the Get Up Kid show next time we're around and we'll get you a media pass, I would go and photograph it.
Yeah.
But it's at this stage of my life, I'm picky.
Yeah.
I'm picky about when I want to bring the camera.
Yeah, that back to Have Heart. They were just kind of like the important band for me in my life, and especially my life as a photographer, because I photographed them all through my time in Boston. Their final show was like kind of like my last time really shooting bands, like heavily. And then I photographed their first reunion when there were 10,000 people outside in Worcester, Massachusetts, which was incredible. And then they just did a reunion this past year, and they reach out and they're like, did you want to shoot this? And I'm like, you know what? I've seen you guys probably 100 times and I've never just watched. So no. Like, thank you for the offer. But like, I'm going to stage dive to Have Heart for the first time in my life. And it was incredibly awesome to get to do that and see it. And like, you know, they killed it with all their reunions, but I did hurt myself a little bit, but it's fine.
Yeah. I had to make that decision recently as well. Same brewery, this one brewery that's an hour and a half north of me started doing shows, which a lot of them are reunions or like comebacks and stuff like that. So Cave-In, they disbanded a while back. Cave-In, they're satellites on my leg, by the way. It's one of my tattoos.
Very cool.
But so they disbanded. You know, they lost their bassist in a tragic car accident. They've done like a comeback sort of, and Stephen Brodsky, the lead singer, and Adam McGrath, who's their lead guitarist, they did an acoustic show at this brewery. And again, I'm like, do I bring my camera or do I just go and enjoy it? So I just went and enjoyed it because they are my absolute favorite. And of course, I whipped out my phone and recorded a couple songs, but I'm not looking at my phone. I literally put it down and I'm just like watching and absorbing and whatnot. And you have to do that. You have to make the decisions of when do I pay attention and when do I actually look through the LCD of my screen of my camera. And I think that decision to just enjoy that last show was a very smart decision.
It's funny because getting away from bands, like we go to Disney, we live like 30 minutes from Disney. We go all the time. And like watching people spend 15 minutes recording a video of the fireworks when there's HD tripod footage on YouTube already. Like, just watch the fireworks. Like, you fought tooth and nail for a good spot. Your kid is on your shoulders. Like, just watch the fireworks. You're not going to go back and watch this video.
Right. Totally. Like, to me, it's like I'd rather watch my kids' facial expressions. Than that. I don't even care about watching the fireworks. I want to see the facial expressions of my kid enjoying the fireworks. Yes.